Hello everyone and welcome back to the Quality Analyst. If you are learning software testing, preparing for interviews or already working in a project, today's topic is one of the most important professional skills you must master. So today we are going to learn how to write a good bug report. Now listen carefully. Finding a bug is the only half the job. Communicating that bug clearly is what makes you a real tester. So in real companies, developers do not fix bugs based on discussions. They fix bugs based on what you write inside the defect tracking tool, that is inside your bug report. So in today's session, I will explain very slowly and very clearly how to write an industry level bug report. So before we learn how to write each field, let us first understand what a complete bug report usually contains. So a professional bug report generally includes bug title or a summary, environment details, steps to reproduce, ex- expected result, actual result, severity and priority, screenshots or recordings, application logs, backend logs, stack trace if available, and any other information which might help developer to fix the defect immediately. Okay, so now remember this clearly. These fields are not added randomly. Each field exists to answer a developer's question before they even ask it. Okay, so as we go through each section, you will understand why skipping even one field reduces the quality of your bug report. So before opening Jira or any bug tool, a professional tester pauses and thinks, is this behavior actually wrong according to the requirement? Can I reproduce this issue consistently? Can I explain this issue in the simplest possible way? If the answer to all these three questions is yes, then and then you log a defect. So this thinking avoids invalid bugs, duplicate bugs, and rejected bugs. So now let's discuss about the contents of report one by one. So first is bug title or a summary. So the bug title is the first thing anyone reads. A bad title creates confusion immediately. For example, if you are just giving the title as login issue, so basically this tells nothing. A good bug title clearly explains or clearly answers three questions: which feature, under what condition, and what is failing. So a good example is login fails when valid username and password are entered. So this title itself already explains the issue clearly. The second is environment details. So the environment details explain where the issue is occurred. So applications behave differently based on browser, operating system, environment like QA, UAT, or production. So you must clearly mention application URL, environment name, browser name and version, operating system. So without environment details, developer may say issue is not reproducible on my machine and your bug will be rejected. Okay, and the next important point is important part of the bug report is steps to reproduce. So the steps to reproduce must always be the shortest possible steps to reproduce the issue. So your goal is not to describe the full user journey. Your goal is to help the developer see the bug as quickly as possible. So for example, if you are giving the steps like open browser, maximize window, navigate through menus, log in, log out, and log in again. So this kind of steps are not needed. You should be giving a shorter steps. Let's say for example, open application, enter username and password, and then click login and verify the login works. So this way you should be able to give the shortest steps. Okay. So what it will help is, with the help of short steps, it reduces the confusion, saves developer time, and it increases the bug acceptance. So professional testers always minimize the steps. The next point is expected result. So the expected result explains what should happen, not what you think should happen. Okay, so it must be based on the requirement document, user story, and acceptance criteria. So for example, users should be redirected to the dashboard after successful login. So this proves the application is not behaving as per requirement. Okay, so the expected result also should be very clear, and it should explain clearly what should happen after some action. Okay, the next is actual result. The actual result explains what actually happened. So again, no assumptions, no guesses. For example, login page refreshes and user remains on the login screen without any error message. So this clear comparison justifies the defect. Next point is severity and priority. Okay, so which we have already explained in our earlier tutorial, but yeah, like in short, I will give you some idea. Severity describes how badly the application is impacted. For example, login failure blocks user completely, so severity is high, and then the application becomes unusable. Okay, so that's why the severity is high. Priority describes how urgently the bug should be fixed. So for example, in production, the login failure is high priority. In the future releases, priority might be medium. So these two are different and should never be confused. The next is screenshots and recordings. So screenshots and recordings act as a visual proof. So they reduce arguments, improves clarity, and speed up the fixes. So whenever possible, always attach screenshots and recordings as evidence, and also whatever the test evidence or other documents you have, you can attach to the particular defect. Okay, in the defect tracking tool. The next is application logs. So application logs show what the system was doing internally. So they capture errors, exceptions, failures. Even if you do not fully understand logs, attaching them helps developers identify the issue faster. So in many companies, bug without logs are sent back immediately. Okay, so that's why you should attach the application logs, the backend logs and stack traces. So backend logs are critical for APIs and services. Stack traces show which class failed, which method failed, which line number it is failed. Okay, so you are not expected to fix it, but attaching stack traces to professionalism and speed up the resolution. Okay, so now let us look at the complete real world bug report. I will show you one example here. Okay, so you see this is a sample bug report. You see there is a bug ID. Again, bug ID is getting generated, it gets generated after you log a Jira. Okay, that ID gets generated, and then there is a bug title summary, then module bug title summary. You see login fails when valid username and password enter, so this should be very clear. Okay, the environments like application URL environment such as QA UAT, then browser, operating system, build version. Okay, and then reported by and reported date is automatically generated in your bug tracking tool. Okay, like as a time of at the time of reporting it, at the time of logging the defect, it is automatically applied to your bug, that is reported by and reported date. And then there is severity priority you should be adding. So again, for login fails, we have high severity and high priority because the application is unusable. Then the status, again the status, like at the first time it gets automatically set to new. Okay, and then we should provide some shortest step to ropro. Open application URL, click on login, then valid username password, and then click on login and verify that it should logs in. Okay, or maybe something like it should navigate to the dashboard. Okay, so something like that you can mention. And then expected result, again this should be clear. This should be taken from the requirement document, or the acceptance criteria, you or maybe user story, you should be taking it. And then the actual result, so what actually is happening. Again, no assumptions, no guesses. You should be mentioning what is actually happening in your application. Okay, so login page reloads and user remains on the same page with no error message displayed. So this is your actual result. The expected result is user should be logged in successfully and redirected to the dashboard page. Okay, and the next is attachment. So again, screenshots, recordings, and logs. Maybe you can attach some logs. Okay, so again this will help improve the clarity. Okay, avoid confusions. Okay, and then again end up with faster resolutions from the developers. Then in additional information you can provide the logs, stack trace, front end and back end logs. Okay, if it is server dependent, or if there are any API involved or any services involved, you should be providing some server logs. Stack trace you can provide. And then again, the note for developers. So if you want to give some additional information apart from the information you have given, you can add something like note for the developers. So issue is 100% reproducible, occurs only on the test environment. Same credentials work correctly in production, and possible null object while validating the user data. So some sort of additional information we are giving to the developers inside this note. Okay, so this is how the professional or complete bug report looks like. So again, this is not a standard format, but like again, companies follow their format, and mostly this is added inside the bug tracking tool. So no need to follow the Excel formats. You can simply create a bug report in your bug tracking tool such as Jira or ALM, and then it will automatically create the bug IDs, and you can set some severity. You can set every details, whatever you can see. You can add the attachment, the logs in the particular Jira bug. Okay, so some common mistakes we should avoid, like long and unnecessary steps. We should not be providing long and unnecessary steps, vague titles, missing logs, emotional language. Okay, so avoid these mistakes and your bug acceptance rate will improve immediately. So if you master bug reporting, you master communication and testing. If this video helped you, like, share and subscribe the Quality Analyst. We don't teach shortcuts, we teach real report testing skills. See you in the next session. Happy testing.